He drops the ball, the stadium exhales, and a season's fragile narrative starts to fray in public. The Chiefs lost 2010 to the Houston Texans on Sunday, and the image people will replay isn't just the score. It's Travis Kelce standing quietly in the locker room, refusing two separate interview requests after a costly late-game bobble that turned into an interception. People.com. This was a rare night for Kelce. He finished with one catch for 8 yards, and late in the fourth quarter, a pass slipped through his hands and into the arms of Azeez Al-Shaair, swinging the game out of Kansas City's reach. The play itself was small in isolation, but enormous in context. Mahomes already had a rough night, and the offense needed clean catches and calm leadership to claw back. Instead, the turnover helped seal a loss that has suddenly left the Chiefs on the hot seat in the playoff race. Houston Chronicle. What made the moment combustible wasn't just the drop, it was what Kelce did after. According to reporting, he declined interview requests twice and quietly left the stadium, a choice that lit up social media and left fans demanding accountability. There's an expectation for leaders, especially franchise icons, to face the aftermath of a loss. Responding publicly is part of the job. It's cheap theater and real repair work at the same time. When a team is bleeding, silence looks like abdication. SI. There's also a rulebook angle here. The NFL requires players, unless they're in concussion protocol, to be available to the media after games. Mike Florio noted the history. Players can and have been fined for flouting those obligations, especially when the behavior becomes chronic and media covering the team complains. So Kelce's decision isn't just bad optics. It could have real financial consequences if the league or coverage teams decide to press the matter. NBC Sports. Let's be clear about the football side. This was not solely about one veteran having an off night. The Chiefs' offense sputtered. Mahomes completed 14 of 33 passes for 160 yards and threw 3 interceptions, and the unit couldn't find consistent rhythm against Houston's aggressive coverage and pass rush. When timing is off, veteran chemistry erodes fast. Kelce's drop is symptomatic of a larger coordination problem: protection, timing, and a receiving core that's failed to hold the little plays that used to define Kansas City's tight margins. People.com. Still, the reaction should be measured. Kelce isn't a one-week story. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player and a cultural pillar in Kansas City. He's been the safety valve for Mahomes for years, a guy who made clutch catches and steadied a locker room. One poor game doesn't erase that history, but it does accelerate tough conversations about how the team handles accountability, how veteran stars behave under pressure, and whether leadership is demonstrated more by presence after a loss than by presence during wins. SI social media will rage, fans will call for fines, apologies, or even changes in the locker room. Some of that's performative, but teams read the room. When leaders duck difficult moments, it creates a vacuum that media, fans, and even teammates feel. There's a practical fix here that's simple and brutal. Show up, own the mistake, and let actions in practice and on the field repair the trust. Silence only lengthens the recovery time. Awful announcing. The stakes aren't abstract. The Chiefs are now 6-7, and their margin for error in the postseason race is almost non-existent. Every misplay matters. And when your veteran leaders avoid the postgame aisle, it doesn't just become a talking point. It becomes a leadership question that can influence the locker room culture in December and January. For a team used to late-game heroics and tight comebacks, the sudden absence of public accountability is a story that will follow them into the next matchup. There's also the human side to hold gently. Athletes are people who feel, who burn, and who sometimes need space to process crushing moments. Declining to speak might be an emotional reflex, not an intentional snub. The problem is how that reflex reads in context, especially from a player who's been paid and lionized for leadership. The optics and the reason rarely line up. In rare cases, silence protects healing. In more common cases, it creates headlines you don't need. AOL, what comes next is obvious and unavoidable. Kelce can answer the story in 2 ways. He can let the silence be the story, letting critics decide the narrative, or he can invert it by showing up Monday, catching every ball in practice, leading loudly, and, yes, speaking publicly in a way that rebuilds faith. Accountability isn't a PR line, it's a practice. Teams that win in December don't just execute plays better, They have leaders who accept blame, model work, and quiet noise with results. SI. And finally, the league might play referee beyond the field. If the NFL or the local beat pushes back, fines can happen. Precedent exists. Whether that happens will depend on how persistent this becomes and whether the media body covering the Chiefs chooses to press. Either way, the episode shifts the conversation. It's no longer only about drops and X's and O's. It's about leadership, public duty, and the thin thread that separates a good team from a great one in the winter months. NBC Sports. For now, the simplest account is this. A game that was already bad got worse because a franchise icon opted out of the public repair job. The remedy is equally simple. Show up, say what needs to be said, and then earn it back on the field. The Chiefs' season is still alive, but every action now matters more than it did in September. The clock is short, the margin is thinner, and leadership, public and private, will decide whether this year is a hiccup or the start of something harder. People.com. Understood. Here is the clean, content-only rewrite in American English. Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce may face potential discipline from the NFL following his post-game actions after Sunday night's 2010 loss to the Houston Texans, a defeat that dealt another major blow to Kansas City's shrinking playoff hopes. The loss dropped the Chiefs to 6-7, tying them with the Baltimore Ravens and Miami Dolphins for 9th place in the AFC with 4 games remaining in the regular season. Kelce struggled throughout the night, finishing with just 1 catch for 8 yards. His biggest mistake came in the fourth quarter when a dropped pass bounced into the arms of Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair for an interception. Houston turned that turnover into a field goal 7 plays later, extending its lead to 20-10 with 30 seconds left. After the game, Kelce declined to speak with reporters on 2 separate occasions, according to Jesse Newell. That decision could trigger consequences. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk noted that NFL rules require all players to be available to the media after games unless they are in the concussion protocol. There were no indications Kelce was in protocol Sunday night. Florio also pointed out that Kelce has declined media availability multiple times this season, either after games or during the week. Players can be fined if they repeatedly fail to meet media obligations or if media members raise concerns about access. Because Kelce's decision drew significant attention, a fine is possible. Earlier this season, Kelce avoided discipline for a similar incident, but repeated noncompliance could change that. Former Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch has said he accumulated over $1 million in fines during his career for refusing required media sessions, underscoring how seriously the league treats its policy. As the Chiefs fight to keep their postseason hopes alive, the pressure surrounding Kelce continues to grow, both on and off the field.